Leave me alone.
Give me rent.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
I was going to record this video, but then I thought, you know what? Why don't I just wait to see Francis Ngannou appear on Ariel Helwani's show and see what Francis has to say for himself? I honestly thought going in that Francis would reveal to me a bunch of stuff, like how the UFC was screwing him over, how they offered a horrible deal, how Dana was lying about how much money he was going to be paid. I thought a lot of my concerns about Francis were going to get relieved through Francis's own mouth. But I have to be honest, after that interview, I am not confident in Francis's future, and I am a bit pessimistic about his future now. Around $8 million for the Jon Jones fight, a 3-fight deal which Francis said he specifically asked for and the UFC said okay to apparently, and Francis admitting that he had spoke to the UFC very clearly about doing a boxing fight after the 3-fight deal. It didn't have to be in between. If the UFC was truly willing to do a 3-fight deal and they weren't going to hassle Francis and give him a hard time after the deal was done, which is just speculation, we don't know if that would have happened or not. If that is true, I don't know about you guys, that sounds like a pretty decent deal to me. Now before I start, a lot of what I'm about to say won't matter to someone like Francis, and it doesn't really matter if Francis is doing this purely out of the principle and he's doing this because he wants to advocate for what he believes is right. A lot of the stuff I'm going to say, someone like Francis isn't going to care about. But let me explain why I'm not so much of the "Yay Francis, show it to the big guy" type of crowd in this situation. I'm a little bit more pessimistic right now. By the way, if you end up liking the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more content similar to this, and honestly, leave a comment in the comment section down below for any of your thoughts regarding the situation, the interview with Ariel Helwani, his future, any comments, comment section down below. Again, Francis said very clearly, this is about principle, I'm doing what I feel is right. Let me just say this, if this is truly about principle and he's doing this to advocate for, a fighter advocate, sponsorships, and other things he mentioned in the interview, I think that Francis miscalculated. Honestly, he could have done all that advocating within the UFC. What do I mean by that? Imagine the reigning, defending heavyweight champion of the world in the UFC, in the premier organization, leading up to every single fight, before the fight, on fight week, in the post-fight interviews, in between fights. In all the scenarios, imagine the UFC heavyweight champion of the world was constantly advocating for fighter rights and fighter protection. Imagine how much media headlines that would generate all the time. Every time there's a Francis fight, for the next 3 fights, there's always going to be stuff he's talking about. Sponsorships, healthcare, contract situations, the freedom to do whatever fighters want to do, stuff like that, whatever he wants to advocate for. He could have done that within the UFC. Now it more so feels like he's going to be outside the castle walls and trying to shout at everybody, hey, listen to me. While everybody in the castle just continues on with business as usual. Think about this, him leaving and then talking about all the stuff he wants to advocate for. Is it really going to generate any mainstream attention? Casual fan attention? Honestly, I don't think so. I think that the hardcores, a lot of them are going to stand by what Francis did, which again is respectable if he wants to do this based on the principle. But if his goal is to try to really push for advocacy, I honestly don't think this is going to do much. Is Francis simply going to leave the UFC and just do interviews from time to time saying, hey, this is what I believe in, UFC fighters are getting screwed? Or is he going to do something like a multi-year long court case like what CB Dalloway, Nate Quarry, Kong Lee, John Fitch, Cajun Johnson, all those guys signed up for? Is he going to do a multi-year court battle, which we'll have to see what that results in, or is he just simply going to do interviews from the outside? If he's just going to do interviews from the outside, I don't see how this is going to make any difference for UFC's day-to-day business operations. Francis clearly wants to do boxing in the future, whether it's his next fight or a couple fights down the line. Boxing is clearly in his future. But let me also say why I'm a bit pessimistic about this, and it seems like he's betting a lot on boxing. Do you guys remember when Francis Ngannou stepped into the ring with Tyson Fury after Tyson Fury's fight and they had their little back and forth squabble? Do you remember how long ago that feels and how distant and forgotten that feels? In the moment when it happened, it felt like we were building towards something, but this is how fast combat sports can go. That happened, and now it feels like a long, distant memory. We don't even know if the Tyson Fury fight is going to happen. Tyson Fury, it looks like he's going to be fighting Usyk, and I don't know if the winner gets an immediate rematch in that fight. I don't know how that's going to work. I'm not a huge boxing guy, but the Usyk fight's coming up, and then maybe after that, Tyson Fury wants to fight Anthony Joshua. And from my understanding, it seems like Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz might be next, potentially. So some of the biggest guys are maybe going to be lined up to fight each other, and Francis is just continuing to get kind of shoved on the side. Does he take a fight against a lower ranked boxer who he can still get paid decent against? Well, what if he does that and loses? Well, now his chances for a Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua fight are completely gone. Again, maybe the Fury fight happens. I'm just saying, seems like Fury's kind of tied up right now. And if he's tied up and Francis can't get it, it just feels like Francis is going to miss out on the opportunity which he's betting this entire contract negotiation and dispute on. Let me bring up this other point, okay, which I have not seen a lot of other people mention, specifically when it comes to Dana White at that interview where he announced the Jones-Ciryl Gane fight and announced that Francis is now a free agent. One thing I noticed is that I believe that Dana White publicly announced that they're waiving the UFC's right to match strategically. Literally, as soon as he said it, I said, oh, I think I know what's going on here. Let me explain. There's a lot of different opinions, but in theory, one of my opinions is that with the right to match, one thing that can happen is that, let's say that the right of match threat was out there for Bellator, PFL, ONE, whoever wants to offer for Francis. Not only do they have to make a good offer because of who Francis is, you know, the fighter he is and the marketability he has, but they also need to make an offer so good that they think that the UFC might have a tough time matching it. Now, if the threat of matching is gone, the promotions only need to compete against each other. They don't have to worry about this big billion-dollar behemoth that is the UFC swooping in and matching somebody that they really want. Again, this is all in theory, but it kind of felt like Dana White was saying, hey guys, just to let you know, PFL Bellator, we're not going to match. You guys just go put whatever offers you want. We won't match. You won't have to worry about us interfering, our billion-dollar company interfering. You guys do whatever you want. We're out. I could be wrong, but now it kind of feels like the promotions don't need to put that little extra juice on top of the offers in order to beat out the UFC. I also want to point out to everybody, this is a glimpse into the future. I know a lot of people, specifically hardcore fans and specific media members, they really advocate for fighter pay, and I know we all advocate for that because we do believe, and it is true, that the fighters should be paid higher. One of the ways to increase fighter pay is for the other promotions to get big enough to the point where they can safely, from a financial standpoint, for their company's sake, pick off talent from the UFC. That competition will increase wages, but it will also just naturally result in much more fighters departing the UFC to different organizations. And what will that result in? The best heavyweight in the world, or the best middleweight in the world, or the number 2 guy and the number 3 guy, and various fighters fighting in different promotions, which means that we don't get to see this beyond premium golden era product that the UFC put out right now, where it's literally the best fighting the best constantly. I hope you enjoyed the video and some of my thoughts regarding the situation. Again, I am more pessimistic than other people, but that's just the way I see the situation. Hope you enjoyed it. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more content similar to this. Check out my channel for other videos I have. And again, leave a comment in the comment section down below if you have any thoughts. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.